Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, and we have a really fun project for you today. Well, I should say a really good theme, Disney plus birthday. And we got Kathy here to show us some really fun things. So say hi, say where you're from. It's so nice to see you. And as you know, this week is a big week for Brother. So pop in, say hi. We're live in the chat today. And we have Kathy Stipe here. Kathy, we bring you to the party. How are you? Birthday party theme. I'm so excited.
It's a birthday party with Mickey.
Okay, so I have my brother's birthday was yesterday. I've got Wynn's birthday next week, and then I have my nephew's birthday, two of them this coming up. So I cannot wait for this, and they love Mickey. Wynn loves Mickey. I mean, we still have a picture from when we met of Mickey on the wall, which I never thought I'd have to look at 30 years later, but it's there.
Well, with living in Florida and having all these little ones in the family, it's all about the mouse house. So that's what I call it. So
all right,
everybody loves Mickey.
We know that Artspira has some fabulous new Disney things. We've seen some on the embroidery side, but you're going to be showing some on the cutting side today, aren't you?
I am. And so I can give you a little overview or give you a shot of what all we're going to be talking about and making today, if you'd like to see that.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you like to see? Of course we want to see. I cannot wait to see.
Okay, so I'm going to switch my cameras.
All right. While she's swapping, again, we're live in the chat today. Even if you're watching the replay, you can leave comments and questions. The social team will find us if they can't answer it. Look at how cute this is. Whoa. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit of what we're going to talk about or show today. As you all know, Artspira now has a Disney category. And with that Disney category, you have embroidery and cutting. And I believe that last week, Kathy and Jennifer went over like the number of designs and that sort of thing that were in the app. It is a lot. So because I don't have the Disney cutting machine or the ScanNCut with Disney built in, this is the perfect opportunity for me to get some of these Disney cutting designs. So what I will start with the gift bag that's right here on the side. And it was just a red gift bag, but I took a Mickey head and cut it out of paper and put an extra little hole up here to thread ribbon through so that you can make a gift tag. What I should have done, but I ran out of time, was I should have put the recipient's name and used my ScanNCut to draw or write the name on the gift tag.
That would have been a good idea, but that's super, super cute. And I'm so glad you're showing this because last week when they were showing all the features with Disney, people said, well, if my ScanNCut doesn't have Disney, can I still use this? And through Artspira, they can.
They can. Now everybody has the opportunity. So I took some little purchased treat boxes and just added a simple Mickey head cutout out of cardstock. I thought those were kind of cute. And because the birthday boy will not go to Disney right at his birthday, we've got a countdown until Disney, the days until Disney. And this was nothing but I used my word processing program to print out on white cardstock. And then I attached a little yellow Mickey head and then put it in a picture frame because that way it makes a countdown calendar. So if it's 45 days, I can just use my dry erase marker and write down. And I just thought that would be a fun way for them to mark down the days. So now maybe we're only 30 days away. but this is something that can be used again and again, even if it's just a regular family vacation counting down to Disney.
That's
Then
super cute.
for a table centerpiece, I just took a pencil cup, put a piece of foam in there, floral foam, and stuffed some of those crinkle shreds on it. And then I had cut out a felt hands, a head, the pants, and made just like a little table centerpiece out of that. So I'm going to show you cutting felt. I'm going to show you cutting cardstock. I will show how to cut heat transfer vinyl and regular vinyl. And then I made these cute little, it's just a wine glass with a battery powered tea light votive in it, and made a little paper shade with a Disney Mickey head on it.
I was just looking at those. I was like, are those candles? And how's that going to work with the paper? They're the candles that just you put a battery in and turn on. That's brilliant.
That's right. And last but not least, I have this swag that I had just cut out of felt. And I had actually cut too many. So that's why the little table centerpiece came in. I used some of my spare pieces to cut those.
Okay, this is adorable. So I would love to know in the chat what you think of this. And I'm pretty sure you could do all of this in just an hour or so, knowing how quickly it is to send stuff from Artspira. So I cannot wait to see how you did this.
Oh, but I'm not finished.
There's more?
There's more. So birthday boy has his birthday shirt to wear. Then the brothers have a shirt to wear.
So cute.
And then mom has a shirt to wear.
Oh my goodness gracious. I think they're all set.
So I think for me, what took the longest time was I know I had shirts somewhere, but because I'm in the middle of a sewing room revamp, it took a while to find them. So
Absolutely gorgeous. That is a lot of fun. This is going to be a really fun birthday party, Disney trip, but birthday party. And I think it's going to give everyone a lot of great ideas.
okay, so I'm going to switch over to a different camera that's on my iPad close up. So if you want to take me away till I can get it.
All right, I'll take her away so everybody doesn't get dizzy, but we can see you and hear you. So leave your comments and questions below. This is going to be a lot of fun. I see a lot of opportunity here for really easy party. You know, I was trying to think that Mickey one with the countdown, that would be great for Christmas too. That would be to be able to swipe it off. Okay, we got you on there, Kathy.
Okay, so let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit closer so maybe you can see. So back to the home screen, everybody should, if you have your app up to date, should see the big Disney in the center, top and center. So when I touch that, you have the option of embroidery. Whoops, I touched too many things. You have embroidery and you have cutting. So we want cutting. And one thing that I found out, Angela, so I wanted to make sure I point this out, is that I had purchased a couple of the Disney collections in the past that I used in Canvas Workspace online. So I could see them and I could download them and bring them to my machine via a USB. So some of this stuff that I'm using, that's how I got it to my machine. But others that I did not have, there is one collection I did not have. So I could pick and choose in that. And I think I like that option better because there may not be a ton of stuff in a collection that you want to use, but just maybe a few. And this it's kind of like in the old days whenever we had to buy designs in a design collection on a card. So I'm really dating myself here with embroidery. And maybe on that card, there was only a few designs that you ever thought you would stitch, but you still had to buy the whole card. So I like being able to buy individual designs. So I can go into a category and I can look at all the different designs and see this is where I got the Mickey one, was out of that collection. And I mean, just depending on who you're creating for, my grandchildren, all boys, they love Toy Story. So now I have the option to have some Toy Story designs for them. Ariel for all the little girls in the family. We've got Alice in Wonderland. So, I mean, just a good variety of different things. And they're going to be adding more content all the time. So we'll go back to Disney cutting. And at the top, you can see where it says purchased. So those are the designs that I have purchased. And if I want to use one of those designs, let's say the Mickey hand, all I have to do is, after I've purchased it, is touch create. I can take it and I can size it, but I'm going to say okay and say done. And I'm not going to save it, but I want to transfer it to my cutting machine. So down here you have cutting machine and you have your cut options. So this is my cutting machine that is registered in the app. So you do need to register your cutting machine in the Artspira app, but under cut options, I can cut it as is, or I can cut by color. So I cut by color. So we'll see a preview. There's the first color, that's the background for the hands. That's in black. This is in white. And that's the one that I want to transfer to my machine, because you'll notice that I did not put the black background. Let's see if I can reach across here. See my hand? I didn't put the black background on it. I just used the white felt. So it's telling me now that my transfer is complete. So where do I go from here? This is where I will go over to my machine screen and I will show you how we can bring that in. So if you want to take me down till I get this on my machine screen, it should only take a second, but I don't want to.
Got you covered. We always want to make sure that everybody doesn't get seasick, right? Although it's kind of fun, especially if we get to see your cute shoes. Although last week, Jennifer, we saw her carpet, which had a bunch of buttons on it. Really fun. Oh. All right, we can see you great, Kathy. And by the way, all of you watching, we are live in the chat today. So if you have comments or questions, leave them below and we'll keep following along.
So once you've set the Artspira app, we're going to go to retrieve data, and I want to retrieve it from the cloud. And I know you can't see it real well, but let's try and make it bigger. So I'm going to go to Edit, Object Edit, and I'm going to size it so we can get it real big. And that's one of the nice things about the Disney cutting designs, is I can size them up to my mat size. That's a little, I don't know if that helps any. I know it's kind of hard to see on my screen.
We can see, it's a little bright, but we can still see. We can see the numbers and everything really well.
To shield some light. But I made that almost as big as my mat. And then I have the option of mirror imaging it or rotating it. So I could rotate it. Oops. So it's now rotated. And then if I had it smaller, I could make multiples of it. And that's what I did whenever I was cutting out hands. But I'm just going to cut out one today. And I have some felt that I'm going to cut out this hand. So I'm going to be using...
I didn't realize it was muted. Sorry. So because we can't see the hand on the screen, everyone knows the hand went from Artspira to the ScanNCut, and now she's going to be cutting. So we'll just so you follow along. All right, back to you, Kathy.
Okay, so I'm going to be using my fabric mat. It's the one that's sort of the gold or tannish color down here at the bottom. And I keep my desk covers on, so excuse the noise. Oh, this one didn't make a bunch of noise when I was peeling it off. And I love the fact that I can put something on the mat and I can scan it. And when I do that, I'll be able to know right where to place my design. So I'm moving this camera. Close your eyes while we go down. So I've got my mat with my piece of felt on there, and I'm going to load my mat. My favorite tool is this rotary blade. This is what I cut felt with all the time. Does it take a little bit longer for it to cut? It does, but it is well worth it for an end result. So I've put it in my blade holder like I normally would. So you have a standard blade that has a black top. You have a vinyl blade that has a light blue top. And you have your fabric blade, which coordinates with the fabric mat that I'm using. But I find that the rotary blade does a better job. And this one has that tan or goldish color on the top. So now that I've finished editing, I'm going to say okay. And then I can scan my mat and hit start. And I'm really hoping that I don't run into objects behind my ScanNCut today.
Yeah, note to self. Don't put your ScanNCut too close to the wall where that mat hits. Same as your embroidery machine. I accidentally did that the other day.
And it'll throw a design off in a hot minute. So I know you can't see, but I can see that this is, I've now got it, the design over my scanned felt. So I just say, okay. I tell it what I want it to do and I want it to cut. And it tells me it's going to take a minute. The pressure is auto. The speed is 5. I just had to double check down here that I didn't have half cut on. If you need to know, just go into your settings. I've got half cut and it is off. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to cut something after I'd been cutting vinyl using that half cut setting. I should test, but there's those of us that don't test and those of us that wish they did test. So in just 1 minute, it's going to have my hand all cut out. So the felt that I am using is one that's called stiffened felt, and I just bought it at the craft store. There's also just your plain regular craft felt that's kind of flimsy. I'll stick my head in the way a minute, maybe not. Yeah, I did. So these pants, this is the flimsy kind of sparkly craft felt. This one Mickey head is out of stiffened felt. And let's see my hand. Well, my hand did not cut all the way. I think I need a new blade, but because I didn't move my mat, I'm going to try cutting it a second time. Like I said, there's those of us that wished we tested and those that didn't.
Hey, Kathy, I know there'll be a question coming up because the fabric mat we haven't talked about in a while, and the fabric mat comes with the fabric blade, but you can use the rotary blade with it. There's been questions in the past with the fabric mat, what they should use on it, and you really should not put a backing on the fabric for the fabric mat, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. The fabric mat's a little stickier, and that just holds that fabric.
Correct. If I were to put any backing on my fabric and I wanted to use the fabric mat, I would turn the fabric side down and the fusible side up and make sure I mirror imaged my design.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah, I never thought about that. That would work.
All right, so we did a little bit better this time. Like I said, I know my rotary blade needs to be changed. It's just like anything else. I have a couple of spots that it didn't cut all the way through, but it gives you the general idea.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
So that's cutting felt. I'm going to unload my mat after I say, okay, finished cutting, unload my mat. And that was my fabric mat. Now let's say I want to cut cardstock. So cardstock, let me get back to my machine screen. Hold on a minute. So for cutting cardstock, I think I jumped in front of the camera, didn't I?
No, you're good.
Okay. So for cutting cardstock, they recommend to use the low tack adhesive mat. But I have a standard mat that I have been using for several years. And it's not quite as tacky as it used to be. So sometimes I will use that mat. They're just suggestions, but so you do with it what you want. So I've got my cardstock. I was trying to put it on my low tack mat, but it's not wanting to stick at all. So I think I need to go shopping at my local brother dealer. This is the one that you can hear the paper coming off. So hold your ears. That's my standard tack mat. And like I said, I've been using this one for a couple of years now. And I just make sure that I clean it with alcohol-free baby wipes after I am finished using it. So I've got it up to my machine and I've loaded it. One of the things that I really like is I'm able to save some of my Disney designs that I've created in my machine after I have duplicated them, rotated them, whatever. So I'm going to select the pants and I'm going to say, okay. And this time I am changing my blade to my standard blade. And once I say, okay, I don't need to scan it because I know that I have a big enough piece of cardstock. I want to say cut. I could draw these. If I wanted to draw those out with a pen, I could draw them. But today we want to cut. And I will go back to the machine. I love this new camera. And I hit start. So it's going in. I have my standard blade. You can see it's the one with the black top. So I like the auto blade technology, Angela, because it measures the thickness of your mat and then it goes over and measures the thickness of the material on the mat to know how much pressure, what speed, all of that to cut.
You know, when Brother came out with the auto blade, that was, I think, for everyone who either had a ScanNCut or wanted to buy one, it was hands down the best thing ever, because in the past you'd have to test it a little bit more. Now it just knows. I mean, you still have to do some testing. I always like to test mine just in case, because as you said, sometimes I'll leave half cut on or I'll forget to put it on, that type of thing. But that's just my manual error, not the error of the blade.
And I find that most of the errors are my own error and not the error of the machine.
That would be me too.
Finished cutting. I can lift this off, put my scrap paper behind me, use my spatula, and there we go. There's my little pants for Mickey.
That is adorable.
So I could see using all of the different elements. I'm going to unload my mat. And, you know, you can use them for so many different things. You can cut felt, you can cut fabric, you can cut heat transfer vinyl. The rotary auto blade was a big game changer in that now I can cut all kinds of delicate fabrics as well. But I'm going to cut some vinyl now. So this is heat transfer vinyl. And heat transfer vinyl will have a shiny side and then it has a dull side. So you want to put shiny side face down on the mat. And I'm going to load my mat again. And I'm going to go back home and find another design that I had saved, like the Mickey heads. So there's a whole page of Mickey heads that I made. Whoops. So I've got that whole page of Mickey heads that I saved. So I say, okay, but I don't really need to cut all of those right now. And I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but I'll try and do a close up of the screen right now and see if we can see it a little bit better. No. But if I go into edit and object edit, no, I want to select all, not select all. I want to select them by using the arrows. So I'm going to say, okay, okay again, and I'm going to delete those. So now I have 2 left. I really only need 1. So I'm just going to leave this one right here in the middle. And we're going to try leaving it at the size it is. I'm going to scan it. And again, this is so that I can use up scraps. That was one of the big things that I found when I was cleaning out my sewing closet, is that I'm a scrap hoarder, I will admit.
I'm sure none of us have that.
You know, you cut off that little strip of batting from whenever you're doing a quilt and you save it. Okay, so I know you can see that a little better on my screen. So I've got Mickey head placed over that. Had that been wording, I would want to mirror image it, but Mickey head really doesn't matter because we are cutting from the wrong side of the heat transfer vinyl. That's why you would want to mirror image. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to select cut. And remember, I said when we're cutting vinyl, I want to go in and turn half cut on because I want it to cut the vinyl and not the transfer or carrier part of the vinyl. So I've got my regular blade in again. I'm going to take it out and swap it for my vinyl blade. Could I cut the vinyl with my regular blade? I probably could, but I like to use the blade that they have designed for the type of material that I'm cutting. It's kind of like between fabric scissors and everyday scissors, you know?
Don't touch it with the paper. So speaking of cutting, in case somebody wants to know how often, I mean, some people I don't think realize that they could just purchase another blade or replace the blade. How often do you end up replacing your blade? I know, like when I'm sewing, I end up changing the needle about every 8 hours or 2 projects, or, you know, it depends how thick the fabric is. What about with the blades on these?
Well, I know that I have cut like these first Mickey heads right here.
Right. Which you had a lot
with my rotary blade, and that's out of that stiffened felt, and it cut it, you know, perfect. I didn't have to cut it the second time. But then as I was starting to cut the hands out of the same type of material, the stiffened felt, I noticed that there was little areas that it wasn't cutting all the way through. So that's kind of my clue. Like if my regular, you know, rotary cutter for fabric starts skipping places, I know that it's time to change the blade. So that's why I'm saying I need to make a trip to my local brother dealer and stock up on some blade refills and just replace some blades. So this is not easy to see, but I can see that there is a little, I can see the line. A tip, I like to weed, whether it be heat transfer vinyl or regular vinyl. I like to weed with my material still stuck to my mat. So I take my little weeding tool that has that sharp point, and I just get it started. And
I love
weeding
that.
vinyl is just like weeding in your garden. You're taking out what you don't want. And so there's my Mickey head. And that's how I would put it down on my project. And because this is heat transfer vinyl, I would iron this on. You can iron heat transfer vinyl onto a lot of surfaces. You can iron it onto, I've ironed it onto wood. I've ironed it onto glass. I've ironed it onto fabric. I've ironed it onto paper. So it's just a matter of what you want to iron it onto. And I have found that it's more about when I'm ironing, sometimes I will use a heat press. Sometimes I will just use my household iron. No steam on a cotton setting. And it's more about the pressure than it is really, it's as much about the pressure, I should say, as it is the temperature. So let's cut a different material. We're going to cut just, this is just adhesive vinyl or sticker vinyl, whatever you want to call it. So I can cut this Mickey head. I know that it's going to be too big for this piece that I've got because it's only about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and size this down. And like I said, remember that you can, let's make 2 of those. So I just separated them on my screen. And I'm going to scan it again. While it's scanning, we'll go back into the machine screen view. Okay, so I have one Mickey head that made it on where I stuck my vinyl, one that did not, but they're both there. So I say, okay. And this, because it's adhesive vinyl, I'm cutting it with the right side up. And again, it has a carrier sheet on the back. So I want to make sure that my half cut is turned on and then press start. And sometimes when it says it takes 1 minute to cut, it doesn't take a full minute, I found. And there's times where the machine may decide it needs to make a second pass to cut all the way through. And then it will update your cutting time on your screen. So just a little helpful tip. So it's finished cutting. So I say, okay. And I'll go back to my other camera setting. And again, like I said, I like to weed my material while it's stuck to the mat. To me, it's just easier. It doesn't go sliding all around my work surface. So there's 2 little Mickey decals that I could use to stick someplace.
That is so cute. And that's the one that you used your dry erase on, right?
The one that I did the dry erase on actually is just a paper one from Cardstock that's behind the glass. Everything is behind the glass on that particular project. So,
oh, gotcha.
Everything's behind the glass, so I can just write on the glass and wipe it off. I'm going to end up with marker all over my fingers, but it's just a dry erase marker that everybody has. So that's pretty fun. So we've cut vinyl, we've cut heat transfer vinyl, we've cut cardstock, and we've cut felt. So I have also cut batting with this. I've also cut lace with this. So think if you're using an applique or want to make an applique. I mean, I could take my little Mickey head and make an applique with my sewing machine by sewing him onto something. And maybe I'll do that. I've got a shirt, another shirt I could make for one of the kids. And I could just applique with my sewing machine a design that I've cut. If I want to place the vinyl stickers onto something, let me take you back to my little setup over here, because I've got, this is transfer paper. And see how it has the lines? I've got a little piece cut. Let me grab it. Sorry if I get in front of the camera. But this is the transfer paper. And I'm just going to move my sign out of the way. I didn't put scissors by me today, so I'm just going to tear these two decals apart. And I'm going to take a piece of my transfer paper, and it's clear with blue lines. See how it's clear? I'm going to stick it to my vinyl. And I normally have a scraper. I do. I just put everything to the wrong side. There is my decal now lifted on my transfer paper, and that's how I would get it to something. So if I wanted to put it up here on my stand, I could just take and stick it there, use my scraper, and then I like to peel my transfer tape off at an angle, and then I'll save this. I'll stick it back on this blue backing sheet, and I'll save it and use it for transferring my second Mickey. But that's how easy it is to put vinyl onto something. You could put it onto glass.
Simple. So simple. I love those candles on the wine glass. Brilliant.
Thank you. The hardest part about that was making the shade.
Did you just use cardstock for it?
I did, but it's a different, depending on the height of your wine glass, the opening top, it changes all the different angles.
They're so cute.
So there was a lot of trial and error on that one. So, but it's just a lot of fun. I could stick my little guy back in here, as he was a one-handed Mickey for a bit. But if there's any questions, anybody has, make sure to leave them in the comments and we will get them answered. But there's the start of your Mickey birthday celebration. Oh, I forgot one thing. I just saw it. I have to tell you about it. Look at this.
Oh, what is that?
this is, when I was cleaning my sewing room, I found a couple of Christmas ornaments. So in order to have Mickey's head look like it was floating inside of it, I took some overhead transparencies and made a circle shape. Let me go back to the screen. Do we have enough time that I can go back to the screen and show you how I did this?
Oh, sure. Everyone will love. I'll take you out for a second while you switch screens. And again, as she mentioned, leave your comments and questions. We're live in the chat today. As you know, this week is a big week for brothers. So make sure you go visit your dealer. You want to see what's coming out for 2024. Whew, can't believe that. Okay, back to you, Kathy. We can see you.
All right, so I knew that my ornaments were 2.5-inch ornaments. So I went into patterns. I go into my shapes and I selected a circle. And it comes in at almost 4 inches. So I'm just going to take it down to about 2.5 inches. I overshot that a little bit. And I set it. So I've got my shape. I'll stick it on top of that red background so maybe you can see it a little bit better, and said, okay. Now I'm going to add another pattern, and it's in the shapes as well. And it is sort of a squishy oval. It's what I call it. Oops, I think I went past it. Almost like a pill shape right here. And I know that the opening that the little ornament hooks over, the height is only about, or it's only about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to get this at about 0.45 and say, okay, I'm not concerned about the length. I'm just going to take it down here over the top. I'm going to use my editing tools and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then I want to drag it where it intersects with my circle and say, okay. Okay, again. And if I select everything, so I've got my circle and my little, I call it my little pill shape selected, I say, okay. And then I have this option in my editing tools now to weld it. So what that does is it takes away that overlap. So I'm just left with a circle with a little pill shape or a little tab at the top. And you put your vinyl on there, and I used the regular adhesive vinyl like I made the red Mickey head out of, and stuck it to that after it was cut. And then you roll them up and you slip them inside of an ornament. And it's a fun way to make little decorations. And I even cut the little spirals that they're hanging from. I cut all those out of paper with my ScanNCut. So it just makes a fun thing. So
That is
anyway,
so cute. An extra one.
An extra bonus.
Oh, I don't know where Kathy went. I think she hit something. Hold on, let's bring her back. All right, you're back. It was like magic. You disappeared and now you're back. So that was an extra bonus project. This is so much fun. I could do the whole thing for a party. The t-shirts though, I love those t-shirts.
So I wanted to point out that I used 2 different types of heat transfer vinyl. I'm hiding my face. Mama has glitter, and this is just the regular one. So with that being said, I always make sure that I look at the pressing instructions that come on every roll of vinyl. And I don't have one within arm's reach that I can grab and show you. But just know that if I'm pressing just this regular vinyl, or if I'm pressing glitter heat transfer vinyl, that you need to read the directions that are on the packaging to know what temperature and how long you should be pressing them.
That's good to know. And you know what? They are different. So depending on the brand, if you're using Brother brand, if you're using a different brand, you definitely want to check the instructions. So I have been having so much fun pressing. I just did some koozies and things like that. So just what you're showing there, I could even add to some of the stuff I've been doing, all because of Artspira, which I love. So for those of you that have not downloaded Artspira, there's a free version and then there's a membership version. The Disney designs are extra. And of course, you can't sell them, but you can use them for your own personal enjoyment, which is awesome. So there's so many fun things. And every month, something new comes out. And I love the new update. I get it on my phone. It'll just say new things added. Not technically in those terms.
So with the Disney designs that you're purchasing, if you are an Artspira Plus member, I believe it's 30% that you get as a discount off the designs. So that makes them really, really affordable. And as long as you have an Artspira account, then your designs will always be under your purchase tab, whether it be the embroidery designs or the cutting designs.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. And I know that last week when we showed this, some people said, well, will this work on any of our machines? It has to be a Brother machine, and you have to have Wi-Fi capabilities to get it to your machine. So those are the two things that you definitely will need before you do that. So, but you have the ScanNCut that you can use, the printer, both printers, you know, the Print Moda and the other printer, the sublimation printer. There's so many different fun things now. You can customize, customize any party. I told my nephews, we were all chatting the other day, I said, you need to go back to like 3 years old. But then they reminded me my sister has a few younger kids. I need to start stocking them up for their birthdays.
So I had to go back and watch last week's with Kathy and Jennifer. And I caught the thing about you saying you did a picture with the new AI that gave you a goatee. Well,
and a hairy chest. Don't forget about the hairy chest.
But I'm even with the AI, I took a picture of my grandson and I used two different things. I think I used pop art as one way to make a printing design, and I think crayon for another one. Well, crayon, he looked like he was a teenager and he needed to start shaving. So
we had the same, must have had the same AI guy working that day, right?
No, but I mean, I've just been having so much fun with all of the features that are in Artspira. I just can't imagine. You know, when you're sitting in, for those that have kids that have gone back to school, when you're sitting in the pickup line, you know, sit there and create your designs. Or if you're sitting in a doctor's office, sit there on your phone and create your designs. And you won't feel like you've wasted as much time from your day.
Much better than playing video games, right?
Well, more productive anyway.
More productive. Well, this has been an awesome lesson. I have scrolling below brothersews.com. If you head over there, first of all, you might want to find your local Brother dealer to see what's coming out this week or came out. It depends what time you're watching this. Very exciting for next week's show. And also all the fun things that they have. And if you need a new rotary blade for your ScanNCut, give them a call. They'll find it. And also there's a sewing blog and a crafting blog. And then I also put angelawolf.com. I've been trying to put the schedule there so you know who's coming on the show, what days the show are. You won't miss a show. And you know what the easiest way is to just subscribe to Brothers Facebook and their YouTube channel, and you'll never miss a live show. So Kathy, this is wonderful. I love it. I can't wait for the party. I think I'm going to have to do this for Win, although I don't know if I'm having a party for him this year, but maybe I'll have to just so I can do this.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. All right, so leave your comments and questions in the chat. We are live in the chat today, and the social team is there. So even if you're watching the replay, let us know you're watching. And don't forget, Hashtag Brother Sews, hashtag Brother ScanNCut. We love to see what you're working on. Kathy, until next time, happy sewing.
Happy sewing.